Welcome to Expert Profiles Atlanta, where Atlanta's influencers and innovators share strategies for overcoming obstacles and achieving success in business and life. Here's your host, best-selling author and Atlanta influencer, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today my special guest is Joshua Jarmin. Now, he helps residents of the Atlanta area who want to be fit and healthy using an easy-to-follow program that focuses on the psychology side of health as well as nutrition and fitness. And he is the owner of Blueprint Fitness in Atlanta. Welcome to Expert Profiles Atlanta, Joshua Jarmin.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business. Generally, people who get into the fitness industry have a story to tell and why they got into the industry. So quickly, give us that story and then we'll get into who it is that you help.
I've always been into working out, but I was a very heavy kid. I was 275 pounds going into college to play football, but a good bit of it was fat. Lost a good bit there just playing around with nutrition and training, but actually was going to become a teacher. And teachers don't make much money, so I became a personal trainer on the side to make up for it. And it was just nothing serious, just fun thing to do on the side. Didn't take it seriously. Then I was deployed, came back, and decided I want to make fitness my full-time career. And I just started hustling and bustling around the city, realized most trainers don't know what they're doing, and I was one of them. So I just dove my head into every discipline you can think of, every diet, every book, and just started amassing a lot of information and figuring out what worked, what didn't work. And then finally one day I realized I just wanted to share this knowledge with my own facility, and here we are.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about Blueprint Fitness then, and what kind of clients that you help there.
So the majority of people we help in the Atlanta area are between around 25 to 65, and it's usually people that are tired of the same old, trying to figure things out on their own, whether it be training or nutrition, and also people that maybe they like the group atmosphere, but they don't want to be one of 20 people in a class. So we decided to make our programming a small group. So basically 5 people or less to one instructor. But the big key is clients are given what's called a blueprint, which allows each trainer to track them with their training. So it's not a guessing game when people come in here, no matter who your trainer is. That helps minimize issues, as well as allows us to customize the workouts based on clients' movement capability, strength levels, and so forth.
So it really is a hands-on approach. It's not like having a gym membership where you just go work out. You're really going to be there with them every step of the way.
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the reason why we went small group. We were originally a bigger group facility, and then we just saw that there's so many things I wanted to fix when it came to working with clients that I realized we couldn't do it with a large group. So hence the small group model.
Mm-hmm. Great. So what are the major issues that people come to you with? I'm sure you have a lot of different things that are not necessarily wrong with people, but what they're struggling with. What are the major issues?
Some of the major issues, honestly, people are usually boredom with whatever they've been doing, or lack of progress from things they might have been doing for a long period of time. And then we tend to have a lot of people come in that have a lot of major joint issues, movement pain. It could be from a car accident, sports injury, just life in general. So people want to figure out how can they still work out, how can they get progress without being in pain, and something that will actually do the job.
So these people, obviously the ones that have got some kind of ailments that stop them from working out, are a different case than the other ones that you mentioned first. The people that are probably part of a gym, they have a gym membership somewhere and they might be going for months and not really seeing any results. Is that the kind of person that comes to you for, really specific training?
Yes, because the one big issue we seem to come across with everybody, and we're all guilty of it, is we want to see things happen very quickly, and we always want a magic pill to what's going to fix our issue. And the truth is, it takes time. I went through it myself, and people are not patient. So once we explain in very simple terms what is happening with the body biologically, people seem to be more aware and have more realistic expectations when it comes to the future of their training and nutrition guidelines.
Right. Oftentimes it takes a long time to get into, the condition that they're currently in. So it's going to take some time anyway to get back to that healthy, fit body that everybody's looking for.
Yeah, especially when a lot of people are now becoming heavier at a younger age. And for the body's homeostasis, pretty much one thing that everybody needs to know is whatever you've done going through puberty into high school to your body, eating habits, physical activity, and we're kids, we're not thinking about that kind of stuff, but pretty much whatever your parents were allowing you or permitting you to do during that time frame, I see a lot of that resonate. People 20, 30, 40 years down the road, both good and bad. But there are ways to combat it, but if you started off in a bit of a ditch, it does take some time to dig out, but it is possible.
So what kind of people really come to you for help? Is it the couch potatoes that, just say, I need a personal trainer or I'll never get this done? Or is it people that are used to going to the gym that are just trying to, get toned and get that last 10, 20 pounds off?
Honestly, it's both. It's about 50-50. You got people that are just scared of going into gyms or going into studios, and then they read the description of what we offer, and it's one of the safer, more comfortable things they feel doing if they're making the first step into being healthier and fitter. And then we also have the people that have done lots of things over the years. They could just be bored with the routine, but most of the time, those people typically want a little bit more specialization. They want a little more attention, and we have a lot of people come in like that who they've been lifting and working out for years, but they still can't squat properly. They don't know how to hinge for a deadlift correctly. They don't know what type of stance works best for this movement versus that movement. And that's where we break it down for each client, because the truth is there are rules, but there's no universal laws when it comes to what somebody's body can handle. Like the way you squat will be different from how I squat. You might not even be allowed to squat. Like I might look and say, like, that's only making things worse for you. We're going to do hip hinging exercises instead, or here's a substitution, versus working through the pain. We try to work around the pain or the issue.
Okay. So as far as people that come together for a class, you say the maximum is 5 per one instructor. Do you do it by group level as well, or is it all mixed?
No, and that's the beauty of a Blueprint program is, and a lot of facilities say this, so I'm going to vouch and say yes, a lot of us do say this, but where we do actually separate from the pack is a lot of studios say programming at all levels. Well, when they do that, they'll have like their standard workout of the day, but they'll have like maybe one modification to maybe an exercise or two, and then expect everybody to just figure it out along the way. In our system, there can be upwards of like 3 to 9 variations of each movement pattern based on what the client can handle. And since everything's broken down by sections, you're not just doing one giant circuit. It's overall volume of the workload. So sets and reps and weight, and that varies greatly from client to client. So that allows somebody that's a 70-year-old obese woman that we would train right beside a 25-year-old, former college athlete doing his workout, and they can work side by side based on what progressions they're following for their training.
That's good. Good mix of people generally makes things go a lot better. Good atmosphere there in the gym. So give me an idea of what you mentioned, circuits. Is that what you do mainly? Is that kind of circuit training?
So yeah, it's in a manner of speaking, it's more of your traditional sets and reps routine people might see out of a magazine. There's a reason why that's pretty much the staple for most professional athletes, collegiate level athletes, fitness models. Most people are not in really good shape because they run around like chickens with their heads cut off and feel like they're dying at the end of a workout. The goal is fix the mechanics, feel the muscle that you're working, and engage enough reps and volume to stimulate change. So it's stimulation, not annihilation. So if 5 sets do the job, why am I going to have you do 10 sets?
Right. Okay. So let's get into some of the problems again. I think we need to talk about diet as well as the exercises. What are the problems with people's diets? What's the biggest culprits?
Diets is time. I would say two things: time and a misconception of what they think is, in quotes, healthy. Because if you eat what is, in quotes, healthy, that's a very broad term for many people, and there's no standard. So when I have people tell me they eat healthy, but they don't look the way they want to look, I'm thinking, okay, you might be eating healthy, but where are the issues? So we then focus on pinpointing, all right, where is the easiest tweak to make to somebody's diet? And then the time portion is simply everybody's in a rush. Everybody needs something quick and easy on the go. And unfortunately, the majority of the stuff out there isn't overall nutrient dense. It's very calorie dense, but it's not nutrient dense. So we work with both style of clients based on what's the easiest pathway. So if somebody likes to get Chick-fil-A every morning, I'm not going to make them, all right, well, you're going to make, have, a salad for breakfast or do this or that. It's like, no. If you're going to have your Chick-fil-A, let's look at what you're normally getting. Okay, you're getting a little tater tots and the fried chicken sandwich. Okay, keep getting the fried chicken sandwich. Let's substitute the tater tots for, the fruit side that they might have. And it's a slow progression to adjust them to just generally healthier habits versus here's a whole diet plan, follow this, and all your hopes and dreams will come true. Because after 10 years, most people don't do that. So it's small step-by-step progressions to improve nutrition.
I like that because that's generally one of the reasons people fail with diets is it's just too much too quickly and they can't sustain it. Is that right?
Pretty much. If you understand how the leptin and ghrelin levels work in the human body, leptin is a hormone that's stored in fat. And as we lose fat, or if you feel like you're getting hungry, that's your fat levels dropping or your leptin levels going down. Well, the human body, after who knows how long of evolution, learned to counter it by shooting up ghrelin levels, which is our hunger hormone. And whether you're trying to gain weight or lose weight, you should, if this is generally speaking, most people only need to make an adjustment of about 10% of their calorie intake. It's just enough to go either up or down on the scale, but it's not enough for the brain or the body to realize what's happening and for lack of a better word, lose control and say, oh, no, now I got to eat everything in sight. And even a 30-year study over like 50,000 participants found that any diet can work as long as you stay in a caloric deficit to stay lean. And the only difference between, say, a man that weighs 180 pounds and a man that weighs 280 pounds was only a difference of 10% of their calorie intake over their lifetime. That's about 2 beers. And that made one person obese and the other person stay lean.
Right. So how complex is it then to lose weight? Because obviously it's a huge industry.
Yeah.
There's tons of fitness places that anybody can choose from. But isn't it just as simple as eat less and exercise more?
Honestly, about 50 plus years ago, yes, that would have been the simple answer. And it technically is today. The problem is food isn't as nutritious as it used to be. Physical activity has dwindled. Even NEAT expenditure, so non-exercise activated thermogenesis, which is just your day-to-day movements, like moving your hands around, getting up, walking to the bathroom. All those style calories, for example, have diminished even more. I mean, most people don't even need to use the remote. They can literally talk to their TV and tell it what to do. So I would say yes, pure yes. Fix the eating, move more. The body should get in better shape. At that point, it's the complicated part is figuring out, all right, what does your body respond to? Some people respond better to cardio versus weights. A lot of people vice versa. Some people respond better on a vegetarian or vegan diet. Some people respond better to a heavy meat-based diet. And that's the part where we have to figure out what works with each client. But the first step is just let's try to eliminate all the processed stuff. Let's get to real foods, and then we can figure out from there what your body likes and doesn't like.
Right. I think you definitely said it there. The nutrition in food nowadays is just not what it used to be, 20, 30 years ago even. And the movement also is not what it used to be back then. So those are two major problems. But you did talk about, and your company's name is Blueprint Fitness. So you design a plan that is ideal for the individual. Tell me how you get to that determination.
There's two parts. When it comes to the fitness side of things, the very first thing we do is a functional movement screen created by Gray Cook, and it's a system. It's not a test, but it's a way of screening somebody's movement patterns to figure out, okay, these movements are good, these movements are so-so, these movements are bad. And that allows the trainer to know, oh, you have this shoulder impingement problem. You shouldn't be doing any overhead press work. Let's substitute with this movement instead. And from there, many people are on a similar program regarding like volume of the workout. It's just based on intensity, so how much weight they're using. And that honestly works across the board for almost all people. So we just vary the sets and the reps and the weight, and then people's bodies can stimulate change through that. We just avoid anything that can cause pain. That's the training side. Nutrition side, we start off with sort of a psychological evaluation, so to speak, where the clients come in and they've filled out a 20-page homework assignment that I have them answer when they're in here on a trial. And it helps me figure out where their strengths and weaknesses lie, from meal prepping, stress levels, sleep habits, workouts, everything you can think of. And then we try to guide the client to figure out, all right, what's the first thing you want to address, and how do we make that first issue as small as possible, such a small incremental change that if we were to bet $1,000 in Vegas on it, we would win $1,000. So for example, if somebody is like, well, I need to fix my nutrition, I want to work on nutrition. They're like, I need a meal plan, I don't meal plan. Like, well, the first thing I'm not going to do is have them practice meal prepping. If they've never done it, it's going to be very difficult to just jump into it head first. So I say, all right, let's look at your week and your weekend. Where do you not want to bother making any changes? And they'll say, oh, I don't want to change my drinking on the weekend. I'm like, all right, we won't change the drinking on the weekend. What about the weekdays? Like, well, I have a couple glasses of wine, most nights of the week. I'm like, all right. And then we work all the way down to, how about just one glass of wine, 3 nights out of the week? That eliminates roughly 6 to 8 glasses of wine they would consume each week, which is around 800 calories a week. They're not consuming less. That would be the only change that they would make. And it's something that they want to do. So we have to kind of not tell them to do that. We have to get them to figure out, maybe I could do this. Because if people say it to themselves and they say it out loud as if they came up with the answer, they're far more likely to follow that program. And that's an example of how we guide people into the nutrition side. And each month is a new one.
Yeah, well, that's another great progression, is just to cut things out piece by piece. And it's definitely a massive psychological issue here as well. The reason that people haven't lost weight themselves for so many years, it usually comes down to some kind of psychological issue and not being able to get past those bad habits that they develop. Is that what you see?
Yeah, and here's the crazy part. There's a few books that I read, I believe like Food Brain or Brain on Food, and it went into the evolutionary part of human biology when it comes to our eating habits today, as well as sort of the stigma of, oh, I have no self-control, I'm a bad person, I'm helpless. If this helps any of your listeners understand, most of us, or virtually all of us, we're fighting like hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution when it comes to our diets. So the desire to eat everything in sight, things that are very sugary and salty and sweet, very calorie dense, you're simply doing exactly what your body is designed to do. The problem in the last, roughly 100 years is that you're now not moving nearly as much to burn off all those calories. And 2, we are almost guaranteed food every single day in a surplus. So we don't have to go foraging for it. We don't have to physically grow it ourselves. All the labor that came to making food or hunting it is now almost obsolete or not used by most people. And then factor in that it's nothing that's of that good nutrition. It's not you're not a bad person. It's just, okay, how do we adjust and work with it so we're not going to beat ourselves up to improve it?
So Josh, talk to me about some of the myths and misconceptions when it comes to losing weight and gaining muscle.
First one on my list, people like to do about 20% of their workouts involving strength and about 80% involving cardio. And all the data of the last at least 30 years has pointed the exact opposite is the best combination to improve body composition. So that's how we've set up our program. 80% is strength-based training, 20% is cardio-based training.
And do you get that when you're doing the circuits, a mixture of both?
Yeah, so for example, we based a lot of this programming on a study that was done on a lot of young male athletes in college, which are the ideal group to test for any training protocols because testosterone levels are high, muscle mass is there, they're trained, they know what they're doing. So if it works on them, it'll pretty much work on anybody else because it's harder for them to stimulate change because they're already strong and powerful. And one of the studies they did was where they had 3 days a week, alternating days. One group would do a strength workout, and then on the opposite days, every other day, they would do a cardio workout. The other group would do the strength and the cardio workout on the same days. So they only train 3 days a week, but morning they would do the strength, evening they would do the cardio, and then rest the next day. Whereas the other group would do the strength one day, cardio the next, and keep alternating. Now, the volume of the workouts were equated. They were the same across the board. After the end of, I think it was an 8-week period, both groups saw significant, similar changes in their muscle mass. Both groups got about the same amount stronger. The fat loss was greater in the group who did the alternating day of cardio and strength, not the people that did cardio on the same day as the strength day. So based on that kind of study, and it was a big deal at the time when it was released, I made our programming very similar. Every alternating days of strength with alternating days of cardio. And that seems to be working very well. Most clients like it a lot.
So how many times should people be coming in to work out to see you at the gym?
Most people, if you're very deconditioned, 2 days. That's all you need. 2 days a week. Off days, just go for a long walk, maybe go for a swim, nothing extreme. If you're more fit, 3 to 4 days a week. Women specifically need a good 4 to 5 days of training a week, depending on the protocol they're following, simply because women's bodies can heal faster than men's, but it also takes more for their body to stimulate change compared to men's. It's just simply due to testosterone.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about some of the fears that people have about either hiring a personal trainer or even just getting to the gym.
The personal trainer part, I don't think it's necessarily people are afraid of personal trainers. People don't like to part with their money. I've met clients who make $500,000 a year, and they're just concerned about saving money as somebody making less than $50,000 a year. And it's just a matter of where you find yourself spending money that is not beneficial to you, and then seeing the amount you're paying for a trainer as an investment into your health. Sounds cheesy, but it's true. Compared to the amount of money you would spend down the road on medical bills and prescription medications and doctor's visits. As far as coming to a gym, it's usually because people don't know what they're doing and they feel uncomfortable and they feel like everybody's looking at them like, oh, you're the weirdo that doesn't know how to work out. And here's a little secret to the people that think that way. When you come into a facility, whether it's a small group studio or a big Globo gym, nobody's really looking at you. Despite what you might see on social media, nobody is paying attention to you because everybody's paying attention to what they're doing, and they think everybody's looking at them. So it's almost the exact opposite. So no matter where you go, trust me, just do what you can. Nobody's looking at you in judgment. Maybe 1 or 2 people, but there's hundreds or thousands of people in a gym. Don't worry about it. Nobody cares.
So talk to me about the results. What kind of results do you get for people? Talk to me about maybe the time frames or give me an example of somebody that's come to you, what kind of condition they were in, and walk me through the whole process, what you were able to do for them, and ultimately what was their outcome.
So one of our members, he was a former Army mechanic on helicopters, and he came to us, put on a significant amount of weight, busted knees, busted ankles, shoulder problems, all kinds of issues. And I was in the Marine Corps, so we kind of hit it off and understanding all the training we had gone through and how you get beat up a lot. So I put him through our functional movement screen, realized what he could do, what he couldn't do, and we simply followed protocol. We just made him do the things that he could do very well and tried to avoid the things that he couldn't do. But we focused on increasing range of motion because he had a lot of scar tissue built up from his injuries. And the only way you can get joints to move better is you physically have to break up the scar tissue from moving them a little bit more, but gradually. He, over the course of a year, I think he lost over 7 inches on his waist. He dropped like 30-something pounds. I can't even remember how much body fat he dropped, at least like 8%. He looked like, the numbers don't even justify how he changed in his looks. And he was able to do, this was a guy who could barely do a squat when he came in. A year later, he could do a full one-legged pistol, like where his butt was pretty much touching the ground, his foot was flat, which is very difficult to do for anybody. And he was able to do that a year later on his bad leg. And on top of all that, with his shoulders, he was able to do a full like wall handstand, or no, he was able to kick into a handstand and hold like a perfect style pencil handstand. Since that's one of the strength progressions we have clients work on if they want to. He loved it, so he just kept getting better and better at it. And like to this day is like one of the more miraculous like changes I've seen over a year.
Excellent. And now talk to me about the price, because when you have a story like that, when somebody's not even really functional, they're finding it impossible to move and they're always in pain, to a place to where, you know, the pain's gone, they've lost a bunch of weight, arthritic conditions are disappearing, and just the standard of life. I mean, what does that mean to somebody? And, you know, talking about the price, what is that worth?
So our price point is between $219 and $319 a month. Most people hover around $260 a month for up to 16 semi-private sessions. So if you break it down, it's around like $20 a training session. For the quality that we offer is pretty much what I was doing when I have private clients a few years back. I was charging between $80 and $100 an hour to do almost the same thing I'm doing now with all these clients. I just simply figured out how to mass produce it so I could do multiple people at once to the program. So you're saving about 1/5 what you would normally be saving if you were to train with me one-on-one. So that's, I guess, where you could say the cost savings comes into play. And if people look at their budget and the expenses they have every month, if you find an area where you can squeeze around $200+ a month to work with a good trainer, get your hands on it as fast as you can, because most good trainers are not very cheap. Most good facilities are not very cheap. But that's not to say you can't have a lot of good things happen at a lower price point. There have been plenty of people who have done very well not even working with any trainers, but those people are very few and far between. So my suggestion, everybody needs a trainer, including professional athletes. Even I have my own trainer. So it's worth it if you do your research and find a good facility.
Well, you're definitely going to get more results, and ultimately, you know, whether you're in business or you're just a mom that wants more energy to take care of the kids and clean up around the house, you know, being fit and healthy is going to make you a lot more productive, both physically and mentally. So it is definitely worth, you know, feeling as good as you can, and you're definitely going to get that way with a personal trainer. So Joshua, tell the people here listening how they can get hold of you. Tell them where your business is located in Atlanta, and just the best way to contact you.
Yes, Blueprint Fitness is located in West Midtown, 1700 DeFore Avenue, Northwest. You can visit us on our website, www.blueprintfitnessatlanta.com, and you can reach us at 678-264-8025. And we even currently have an ebook out available on our website, and it is comprised of all the information I've learned over the last 10 years that simplifies everything down that people can use on their own if they wish.
Well, excellent. Now, you know, health and fitness is an area that we could probably talk for days and weeks on, but we were able to get quite a bit of information in there in 30 minutes. So I really appreciate you, Josh Jarmin from Blueprint Fitness in Atlanta, for being my guest on Expert Profiles Atlanta today.
Thank you very much, Neil. Appreciate it.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
Thank you for listening to Expert Profiles Atlanta with Neil Howe. To learn more about the resources in the show or to listen to past episodes, visit expertprofilesatlanta.com.